It's a huge honor for me to have Bhai Harman Singh here today on the podcast. Before we go any further, please smash the like button, subscribe, comment. It helps the video get out to more people so more people can benefit from this conversation. Bhai has done a lot of things. I initially came into contact with him through his work with Basics, watching the videos there, and when Bhai did katha at Park Avenue a couple of years ago. I think it was around the time when Bhai Jagraj Singh had passed away. Around that time, but also leading Team Khalsa training, which I would love to know more about, and then a lot of stuff in Calgary in terms of camps and initiatives around the youth, and also head of Basics in North America. So, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, what were your early influences to start from there?
In influences in regards to what, Ji? So are we speaking about parchar or just getting involved in seva in general, kind of working with the sangat?
I think in general, I think whenever I read books about Gursikhs, they talk about early influences. So I thought that would be a good place to start.
First of all, main koi khas Gursikh hai nahi, we're filled with pop, we're filled with sin, so I don't really expect anybody to take much inspiration from myself. Baki jehdi Mahampurkhan di the books that we read and the itihas that we talk about, that in itself is inspirational. So if you do want a little tap in, initially the very first influence towards any child is probably their father. And so mere pitaji pehla kavishri gaunde hunde sige. They used to sing kavishri. And ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੰਗਤ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ, ਟਕਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਮਹਾਂਪੁਰਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ, ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਨੇ ਘਰੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ. And early as I can remember, I was the little child holding the bowl where you have to pour the water and wash their hands. ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਤੌਲੀਆ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਾ, ਸਾਰੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. And you know, when a drop of water would spill onto the Gursikhs that were coming over to eat prashad, they just look at me and I just get so scared. So ਇਦਾਂ ਉਹ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਨਾ ਉਸ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਆ. And obviously when you're a child, you don't realize who these friends of your father are, the people that are coming over. Some of them were very, very famous ustads and kirtanis, and some of them, like one of the things that used to come over was a teacher in kirtan or a master in kirtan. Most of the darbar sahib kirtanis, people that do kirtan at Harmandir Sahib, they would call this Singh Ustad Ji. And so I would just like, we don't know. And a lot of the great katha vachiks that do katha now at Sri Hazur Sahib, that do katha, in big takhts, today they used to spend time over at our house and just kind of chill and call me out on silly things I would do. So growing up, we kind of saw those faces again and again in the panth. So the mind was always around in that panthic sphere. Plus my entire family was always involved in the Gurdwara. Whether it's, helping organize a langar, doing a Khand Path Sahib or something. And I know a lot of the families around our local area were also involved. So we got to know all the uncles and the aunties and the young kids that they had also going into the Sangat, doing Kirtan programs, weekly Asadivar, camps and stuff. ਇੱਥੋਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਈ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਸੰਥਿਆ ਤੋਂ. Father taught me Gurbani Santhya at home. We spoke Punjabi at home. And then from a young age, I remember my dad actually took me to India and we went to all of the Itihasik asthans across India. I don't think we left any city out. Spent 2-3 months and just non-stop on the road. And my dad told me then as well that you're not going to remember much now, but at least you've seen it. And it might leave an impression. And it did. When I was a little bit older, I went again, and then I went again recently when we ended up recording some of the videos that we put on our channel. We just thought while we were there, might as well record it. Ode karke, kind of growing this sphere out of our local area. I think that was very important, which I see a lot of other youth that they're not able to do. They know their themselves, the local area, and that's their entire world for them. So I always suggest, taking your children out and exploring different places, getting them to see the beauty of the Panth, getting them to see the different takhts and the different asthans of Maharaj, especially from a young age. It's surprising how much that opens up your mind towards what Gursikhi really is. And rather than sometimes the kids just see, Sikhis, you go to the local Gurdwara, same Granthi, does Geet, and then you come home. It becomes very stagnant for the child. But if khair uthon Santhya to baad, getting involved in kirtan and making friends in the sangat. I remember my school friends, they would always say to me, where are you going on Friday? And I say, I have to go, I have to go to the Gurdwara. Or sometimes it wouldn't be the Gurdwara, I have to go spend time with my other friends. And my school friends, grade 7, 8, they would say, wait, you have other friends? Like, so are you betraying us? Do you have tokha kar rahe hain sadhe naal? Like, we're your clique, we're your friends. And I say, no, you're like my school clique, but they're my my Gurdwara clique. They're my Gurdwara friends. So sometimes that would be astonishing for them to hear that. How can you have two sets of friends? ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੰਗਤ has always been there. And I remember ਸਾਡੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਸੀਗੇ. He was a big influence on a lot of the sangat there. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਸੀਗੀ that people in your life are going to come. Friends, your classmates, your school, your teacher, all these people are going to come and they're going to go. They're temporary. But sangat is going to remain there. And I mean, the people and the identities in sangat might come and go as well. That I realized later on as well. But the sangat and the guru is always going to remain the center, make that the center. And he said that casually as he was driving. I was just sitting in the back seat. But that really hit me. ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਬੜਾ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵ ਪਿਆ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਕਿ that's true. So that's why I never really hung on to a lot of my school friends. I remember we were all in a soccer team. I know in the UK you guys kill me for saying soccer, you guys say football, right? So we were in a football team, and we would go to games. We would play. We're on the school team together. And I remember near the end of high school, they were all saying that after we graduate, we're all going to still hang out every week together and we're going to spend time for the rest of our lives. And everybody's like, yeah. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I don't think so. And obviously I didn't say that. There's much love between all of us, but lifestyles were different. And we knew that from the beginning. ਸਾਡਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਪੰਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਸੀ from the beginning, from the get-go. So that's where the influences really came. And then the other thing is ityas. When these great people would tell me great stories of other great Gursikhs, Singhs and Singhaniya. And that's who we aspire to be like. When you hear that they gave their entire life like this, and then we would be thinking, how do we give our entire life as well? Right? Maybe in a modern day way, how can we apply that? How can we we can't just go jump on a horse and go into the jungles now. I mean, as much as we wish we could. And that was every 14-year-old, Sangat child's dream is just, forget high school. Let's just jump on a horse and let's just go into the mountains. So, I mean, we went through those phases as well, where I just didn't want to go to school. You would read a Mahampurkh's book like Sekh Nehiya, or, Baba Gurbachan Singh Ji's life, or Bhai Rantir Singh Ji's Jail Chittiyan. You would read them and just be like, what's the point in all this? And as a child, when you're already, you're trying to find yourself in life. Every child goes through this. You're trying to find out who you are, what you want to become. Do you want to become who your parents are? Do you want to become, take inspiration from somebody else? So all of these kind of things, thoughts go in your mind, and then you read a Mahampurkh's book and you say, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to go into the jungles. And we have mountains close to the town that we live in. So we'd go hiking all the time. And sometimes I just tell my friends, I was like, you guys can go back. I'm just going to chill here. So you can see all these thoughts. They obviously you have to come back, right? You just kind of say, we'd go camping for a couple days. It's very cultural in Canada, where you go camping. That you spend 3 days out in the forest, and you just I don't know what go do fishing and stuff like that. So we just put a campfire, we talk, we hang out. ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ and so I really love nature and I was fascinated by fitness. My dad actually was a professional kabaddi player as well. So
Wow,
growing
that's amazing.
up,
I didn't know that.
yeah, so I remember just seeing like these huge like buckets of like protein powder and like obviously I didn't know what was protein powder was, but it was like it would just have this picture of this really muscular guy on it. And my dad would, eat healthy and he would be exercising. And even when we were young, he would go, he even now he's always friends with these organizers of kabaddi tournaments. It just doesn't make sense to me because they're like, some of them aren't even into Sikhi, but he's like best friends with some of them. But I see where it comes from because from back in the day, that's his love was always with kabaddi. Even now, if he wants to escape from family or life or work or anything, he's just going to watch kabaddi videos on YouTube. And these things kind of, they live with you for life, right? And I'm similar to that when it comes to soccer or football. Yeah. I remember my dad would train me to go on runs. I remember when we were like 6 years old or 8 years old. What I would do when it would come to sprinting, and I would run like this. I wouldn't run in a straight line, so I'd end up losing every time because I'm covering more ground. And my dad said, you just need to focus on something and just run there. You don't look anywhere else. I mean, and that eventually kind of meant metaphorical things to me as well later on in life, where you just focus on one thing, you don't look anywhere else, because or else you're going to end up sidetracking and you're going to end up losing. So that's what I did. And luckily at that racetrack, they just mowed the lawn. So they had like these little, when you mow the lawn and there's like lines in the grass. So I just followed one of the lines very straight and I won the race. I won first in this kabaddi tournament where they get the kids to race as well. So fitness was a huge aspect of our life. Plus Sikhi, and ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਜੰਗਬੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਸੀਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੱਤਕੇ ਦੀ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਬੜੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸੰਥਿਆ, ਬਾਬਾ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਮੱਲੇਵਾਲ, ਬਾਬਾ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਸਿੰਘ, ਗਿਆਨੀ ਬਲਬੀਰ ਸਿੰਘ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਸੰਥਿਆ ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਦਿੱਤੀ. ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਉਸਤਾਦਾਂ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਬਾਅਦ ਚੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ. ਭਾਈ ਪਰਵਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਬਹੁਤੀ, I mean I wasn't the greatest student when it came to kirtan, but ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ. And I feel very blessed and honored to have that environment around me, but sometimes you don't take it for granted. I know people, so there was many people in my sangat that wouldn't have that same support from their parents or their family to kind of looking towards a panthic thing. Their thing was, their thoughts were very local, and that's fine. I know, but I also saw some of the kids struggle without having that elder vision. They went to the same sangat, we had the same conversations, but in my household, we would always talk about Gursikhi. We'd always talk about Guru Nanak Dev Ji did this, Guru Ram Das Ji did this. If there's a conflict between my parents or Rishtedar or outside the family, guess what we do? We'd sit down and we'd say, Guru Ram Das Ji has this shabad. What is your thought on it? And my dad would actually ask me. And that's where we started doing Gurbani Vichar. When you're in Santhya class, when you're kids, you're just pronouncing things and you're moving on. Sometimes things don't really click to you. But holi pyar pe gaya siga. And it was second nature to kind of talk about Gurbani. Like what else is there to talk about? And I would actually find it funny when I would spend time with other friends in Sangat, and we'd be watching like the Lakers game or a basketball game. And I'd say, did you know like, Guru Nanak Dev Ji did this once? And one of the things that he would kind of listen, but the rest of the guys, they would be like, yo, stop being so religious. And like, you don't need to be so religious. We're just watching a game. And I was just like, oh, that's fine. But I just thought like, what else are we going to talk about? No? Yeah. I was always one of those people. I don't know where I got it from. Maybe just learning history or things. I was always challenging things. To the extent I would challenge my parents. I would challenge certain things in the Sangat. And I went to out-of-town camps as well. I went because I would travel with some of these figures that I mentioned earlier, just to go and see the Sangat. I would see how they sit and talk and how they communicate. And I went to some few places out of town, and I saw a lot of the Sangat, they would always wear bana. They would always wear big kirpans. And I fell in love with that. For me, that was everything. It was shastar, it was kirpana, it was the chola. I remember as a child, I've shared this many times before, sitting in a darbar, I would look back. It was empty darbar, kirtan going on, and the Singh was just sitting there with a blue chola and the mullah, and he just had his head down and listening to kirtan. I just didn't know why I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I had no idea why. I'd look back and I'd look back and just look backward. And then I'd look back. And my parents would say, kirtan's over there. And I just keep looking back. But the chola fascinated me. It was something else. And I didn't know what it was called. And I've shared this story before as well, where I would tell my mom, I want that longer kurta. And she was like, longer kurta? We'll get you longer. I was like, no, I don't want this one. I want the blue one. And so she gave me a blue kurta. I was like, no, I don't want to wear the pajama with it. And she's like, you're going to wear a kurta without a pajama. That doesn't make any sense. It's called a kurta pajama. And I was like, no, I've seen someone wearing it. And so I struggled with this, trying to explain that as well. And later on, when I pointed it out, they said, that's a chola. I remember my mom saying, Pagliya no chola kende. So then, we got some chola. But I grew out of them. I went through a lot of growth spurts, especially, trying to run and do all the fitness stuff on the side as well. And that was another thing. I saw the sangat. This is where it kind of came in, I think, the leadership qualities. Again, I'm not saying I have any leadership qualities, which I don't. I'm trying to find them myself. But when you see a little bit of compassion, when you have something you want to give, Andy, I saw that I knew how to exercise. I knew how to work out. I'd worked with trainers, with Olympic trainers like Denise Legacy and some of these people, where I had trained with them in the University of Calgary. My degree is in kinesiology. So it was all about fitness. It was all about working out. It was all about exercise and working with, sports performance. Even high school, I would always make sure. Some of the other students, they wouldn't take the gym or the sports performance options. I always would. I would take the other, physics and financial management. I take all of those things as well. But fitness was one of those things. I was like, if I go 6 months without exercising, how will I live? So it became like an addiction. I know you can relate to that as well. It just becomes your food. You don't work out for a week and you're like, I don't know what's going on. It's similar to Nithanim. You don't read Barney for a few days and you don't do sangat for a little while and just feel like empty on the inside.
Something's missing.
So fitness was like that for me. It was my khrak. It was my escape from the world, because nobody can bother you. And of course one thing that would tick me off was, not tick me off, what annoy me is in these gyms, they always have these other songs going on. So then I found a way where I would they didn't have AirPods and these things back then. So I would find a way where I would put in my headphones, but then I would put them in the back and put them through my dastar, and I would just come back through. I would put them over my ear and they come back through here, and I hook them into these little iPods that we had. So I would exercise and just listen to kirtan all day or katha all day. And sometimes I would listen to these jangi prasangs and they would pump me up so much more. I remember my other sangat friends as well. They would say, oh, Tupac and Biggie and these guys, oh, they pump you up. 50 Cent pumps you up. I was like, not really. That doesn't really pump me up. How can you get pumped up listening to katha? I was like, you have no idea. You've been listening to the wrong katha maybe. So I was surrounded by these conversations. Maradi Kirpanal, that just kind of one thing led to the next. And with that compassion, I saw the sangat, some of them weren't really fit, so especially some of the perna. I didn't have a sister of my own. It was just me and my brother. And so, I छोटे होंदे मेरे मन च बड़ा चाह सीगा, I wish I had a sister. So मैं सारी संगत दियां भैणां नूं अपनी भैण बना लिया. And I remember a couple of them were saying we don't know anything about fitness. I was like, let me try to train you, अपना भरा बन के. And sangat इकट्ठी हुई हुई सी, we would train, and sometimes some of them they would get angry with me. I remember, I knew they were getting angry with me. I would yell at them. I would do this. I say, you got to do the squat, you have to do the push-up. And I know they would talk about me as well, oh, this guy, who does he think he is? He's trying to challenge us. He's just yelling at us, making us do push-ups all the time. Oh, by the way, and I was in the military as well, and that's why I think that's where my aggressiveness came from. Where I would just go to the sangat and I just what do you mean? This is how you train. There's no other option. You're not going to do push-up. And so remember, we still have these videos where we're doing push-ups. So on the way down, it's wahi. On the way up, it's guru. So we had a whole gym at the Khalsa school booked out where everyone just doing wahi, guru, wahi, guru.
That's amazing.
Squats as well. Wahi, guru, wahi, guru. I was like, and what else are we going to call it? Team Khalsa. It was just a name that we threw together. And we'd train like, a few times a week regularly. So I would just, me and Harbir Singh again, one of the other Singhs, he was doing Khanis as well with me, him and I and a few others. We would kind of help the Sangat out in this way. We'd make them do 4 a.m. runs because you get the Amrita Vela in there as well. And I'm a lot more relaxed now than I was then. Because I was in the military training there as well while doing university at school, while doing all of this stuff in the Sangat. I would even go to the Gurdwara and make like little 10-year-old kids do squats while doing Simran. And that was just kind of and this is all before I actually got into katha. Andy, because we were organizing camps, I would talk at the Gurdwara camps. I remember some of the elder Singhs in the camps in the Gurdwara as well. I didn't know how to speak. I'll be honest. Minu bolna nahi aunda siga. Right, like that's how I spoke. And there wasn't any consistency or there wasn't any ability for me to convey what I'm saying. That took some time and took a lot of effort. But back then, some of them would say, I remember, like, chup ho ja. Like, tere to bolya nahi janda, chup karke beh ja. And I'd just be like, okay, after like, wasting everyone's time for about an hour. But fir bhi kai singha ne fir main bada, they saw the cha and they trained me, they helped me, they gave me suggestions. So ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਥਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਾ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਜੀ ਸੀਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ he became very close friends with Jagraj and I was already I had been invited to a few local areas to do prachar already out of town prior to this, and I'd always be spending time with pracharaks. Like that was my thing. Any prachar come out of town, yani Pindarpal ji, yani Kulwant Singh ji, any like English speaking pracharaks as well. And it was really just Jagraj Singh around that time. So this is before I remember him, and he had like what, maybe not even a video at that time. I don't think he had a video. I don't think he started his YouTube channel at that time. He became friends. And maybe he started like a video or two that had like 10 views or 15 views or something like that. It was just him and his webcam. And one of the things invited him, and me and him became very, very close to each other because we would talk about the panth. And I'd just be like, this is the conversation that I've been struggling with my entire life, because people around me, they say, why are you wearing a 1050 kirpan? You're going to take out our kids' eyes. And I just be like, well, your kids can look out for themselves. I'm wearing my kirpan, right? Like, I remember now everyone wears shastras, right? Oh, samay vich chola paya. Who do you think you are? Oh, look, your ego's back. You're wearing a chola again. Well, that's not how it works. I'm just trying to, follow my guru's path. But oh challenges hamesha rahiyan. I remember jadon ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, and I would always keep headphones. Bhagat ji di sangat ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ Mahampurkhan ਦੀ, they're in Toronto now. But just one thing, they say listen to kirtan katha all day long, when you're sleeping, when you're walking, talking, sara kush. So that was always going in my ears. I always had headphones. I remember this young Panji or this young Singh as well. They would want to follow that. They say we don't want to hear this nindya and this chugli that sometimes happens around. We want to listen to Gurbani as well. So they started wearing headphones while just hanging out with their friends as well. I remember they were telling me, she came running to me and started crying that all the other girls, they grabbed her headphones and they yanked them out of her ears. They say, you can't do this. So struggles, of course. And that's where I think it wasn't really anger, but the need for me, I felt like I have to challenge all of this. And this can't be a normal. And there were barriers that we had to come over, and we're doing the same thing today. The mentality hasn't changed. So trying to challenge certain norms that are coming, the Sangat, some things, people have their perspectives and people have their opinions. That's fine, right? Of course, we respect all of that. But ਜਦੋਂ ਭਗਤੀ ਦੇ ਮਾਰਗ ਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਪੰਥਕ ਮਾਰਗ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਵਿਘਨ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਜਾਣ ਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਲਸੀਪਣੇ ਕਰਕੇ because of that they're kind of hindering other people, I'm not okay with that. So we kind of pursued, and when it came to Jagraj Singh, he would say, so what are your thoughts about the panth? And I'd just be like, whoa, I've been looking for you. And he'd just be like, I've been looking for you. So, shooting, I was around 16, around that time, 16, 17. ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ, and he would come and go and I'd text. And we would work together a lot on the background. People wouldn't really know. I don't think the rest of the team really even knew at that time. ਪਰ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, and we worked together, not only on the front. And then one day, we met together at this one camp that was in a different country. I was invited there on my own behalf, and he was invited there as well. And I told him that, I was thinking, like, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel as well. I remember when he was told me a YouTube channel, because at that time it was just Rain and what is that, AK Amazing, a few of these guys. And when he said he's going to do YouTube, and I was like, you're doing YouTube? Like, that's what, like, you're going to do comedy? And he'd say, no, I'm going to make Sikhi videos. I was like, oh, that's cool. Because I'd seen a few, like, Sikhnet videos, a couple of these Rajawana TV. I think these guys were doing stuff around that time as well. That's cool. Like, let's see how it goes. And I still remember holding the camera while we were in a boat in the middle of an area called Coral Springs in our area. And he was, like, answering questions. And I was just holding the camera, and I remember this one I would get told, because he was military as well, but I was military as well, but he was more military a little bit because he was a little higher up as an officer. And obviously, being a young child, sometimes you don't know how to work a camera. I remember setting up a camera and then setting it up, it's all good, and I go sit down, and he would, like, in the middle of talk, he's like, Harman Singh, is the camera on? And I just like, yeah. He's like, is it recording? I said, yeah. He's like, go check again. I went and I pressed record because it wasn't recording. And he's like, I can see the red light wasn't on. And then I had to struggle with the same thing with some of the younger Singhs that were trying to help me. So I would tell them the same. So I just kind of passed it on. But yeah, we worked and we shared that vision. And it was really funny to me because we would talk about things, and I would say to him, oh, we should like build, taking like inspiration from like Lord of the Rings. I would take anything that I would see and I would just pull it into Sikhi. The doors had these huge caves and these mountains, and we should build like these bunkers, and we should build like these takhts and these safe havens for the Panth in these like the Rocky Mountains in Canada and the US. And we should kind of dig deep, and that's where we should like train Singhs and Singhaniya, and that's where maybe the Shahidi Faujan will be progressed. And if the Panth ever goes into Khatra, they can all retreat to this place. And I always wanted that. And he just looked at me. He's like, "You want to dig underneath a mountain and build something?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Bro, you need to be more realistic." Right? Yeah. So I'd be like, "Okay, that's realistic." And then 2 days later, he'd be sharing some out of the world things. Like, he'd just be talking about some crazy stuff. And I'm like, you're telling me to be realistic, right? So we got along in this way. And obviously he was much older than me. He was, 10 plus years older than me. So I had that childness in me when I was 6, 17, 18. Phir bhi galbaat karte rehinde se. We shared that thing about the Panth together. We had like at this one camp we had a Sakhi off. You know how they have like a rap battle, but we had like a Sakhi battle where he would share a Sakhi, but then I would like relate a Sakhi and I would share a Sakhi, and then he would share a Sakhi and I would share. Then I would like, if he shared a Sakhi, small Sakhi, 4 minutes about like Guru Nanak Dev Ji, then I would like relate it either the same topic, same theme with another guru, or like the same guru relating it somehow. And we dropped the mic and all that, and all the kids at the camp, they'd be like, whoa, this is like most like epic like katha scenario that we've ever seen. We've never seen Sakhi battle before. So cool. We didn't really get a chance to do that, but then uston baad main ke, I'm gonna do parcharak, I'm gonna start like making videos and do all this stuff as well. And I had made quite a few videos, and I just began putting them out and just doing parcharak in the way that in the areas that I saw that was necessary. Because I was like, you're UK based, we have a thing here that the England kind of took over the entire world. So England's like, we're speaking English right now, right? So yes. I was like, England, just think about themselves, right? It's just a joke. But then he's like, so why don't you what's the point of duplicating it? Just mere naal hi karke aa ja. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਆ, and I just didn't really entertain it much. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਨਾਲ ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਰਹੀ. Naturally things just came together. I was in the UK for different reasons at the time. ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਨਾਲ ਭਾਈ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਗਰਾਜ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗੇ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਥਾ ਕਰ. I've done katha before, but I just hadn't done it in the UK, and they just organized it like, you're going to do it. So I did kirtan and katha. So I would do kirtan, and then Baljit Singh would do katha, and ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਨਾਲ ਬੋਲ ਲਾ. So then I would speak like 5 minutes, share a Sakhi while Baljeet Singh is doing katha or Jagraj Singh is doing katha. I remember doing at these few camps, like I don't know where it was in England, like south of London, some of them, and then some in the Midlands. And us to baad idain katha shuru hogi, and then because now they had the recording systems, they put it on the channel. Idhar aaya, came back, and then they, you know, the singers and locally they organized for me to do katha on stage. I had no intention of doing it. These kind of organized katha shuru hogi. Then I kind of started doing it weekly, and katha mala chaldi rahi, and then we were growing our skills after completing university. Got involved, Mara di kirpa naal, and you know, so it was just natural. I was like, yeah, I'll do this on the side, and we'll do it. And then it was just one thing led to the next, and the next few years later, you know, we're running sevadars across North America, and doing prachar, and just there was so much need for prachar. You didn't feel it before. You didn't feel it. But then when you really get into it, you realize that really the Panth needs that Sikhi, and there's so many people that are thirsty for it, and that's what I live off, right? Is sangat is thirsty to learn that, and I love speaking about it. For me, that becomes a form of my bhakti, to be able to talk about the histories and the Sakhi and the bachans of Guru Sahib ji. So ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਹ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ it was grew, and you know, Jagraj Singh and I, we work in the background, huge plans. Unfortunately, I remember him saying he's too sick to travel to a camp in India, and last minute we booked, my passport was in a different country at the time, so we booked a flight all the way, went and did those camps, came to the UK, this and that. Figured out, that's when the doctors had told him that when I arrived from India to the UK, I remember it was December, early December, ਉਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ that, you know, Jagraj Singh had been diagnosed with cancer. ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਸੀਗਾ, that's when Jagraj Singh and I, we had this, me and Jagraj Singh, we had this sort of a loving conversation between each other, where he wanted to do Asadivar Katha. And I said, look, bro, you've already done like Nitnim Katha, you've already put all of these things on the channel, let me do Asadivar. Like, I love Asadivar. And he's like, bro, but I have a love for Asadivar. And I would be like, no, but I love Asadivar. And it was like, oh, we can both do the Katha, of course, why not, right? But then, you know, when like their schedules are so heavy, everything's being pulled together. If we're going to put something, might as well have it recorded and put on the channel. And he was doing like finishing Ardas Katha at that time. And I'll do Asadivar te kar dena. He's like, I've always wanted to do Asadivar. It's been a dream of mine. And I was like, but so it's been a dream of mine as well. I remember when he had cancer and he's laying on the bed and Galu kar racing, and I was like, so I get Asadivar now, right? He just started laughing. He's like, yeah, you get Asadivar after all. ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਸੋ ਇਹ ਬੜਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੀਗਾ। ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦਾ ਲੇਖਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿੰਨੀ ਕੁ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਉਨੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤੇ ਉਹ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦਾ ਪੰਥ is going to continue no matter what, whether we live, whether we die. ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦਾ ਪੰਥ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਹੋਂ ਤੇ ਸਕੇਰੀ, that Maharaj's bachan is, this is my flower garden, ਖਾਲਸਾ ਪੰਥ ਖੇਤੀ ਮੇਰੀ, that I'll take care of this, and it's beautiful, there's many different colors, and I'm the gardener and I'll take care of it. ਇਸੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ, I mean, I'm sure there's so many little gaps, things, and I missed out, but I just wanted to give a overview. Sorry for taking that much time to answer that.
I personally have met a handful of people who are not from Sikh background, who have come into Sikhi from watching yours and Baisal's videos, like basics videos. So I day to day see the impact it's had on people's lives. We actually have a friend who wasn't in Sikhi at all, and now we're the star Amatari all through basics videos, and so it's amazing. It's amazing. That's why it's so wonderful to have you on. I think I'm gonna keep bothering you to ask you to come on again, because I think there's so much we could talk about. But being mindful of time, I wanted to ask you like one piece of advice that you would give somebody who's trying to get into Sikhi, or one resource. Obviously you've got basics. Is there a particular video that someone who wants to learn more about Sikhi as an introductory thing would be a good place to start?
Yeah, so the first thing that anybody needs to if you're walking this path of Sikhi, is to clarify your path, right? And to help understand that, what I mean is, we're filled with doubts. Sometimes these doubts lead us to even doubt the Guru. And when we begin to doubt the Guru, we don't lay out our path with the roses of devotion, roses of bhakti in that way, with faith. And the path of spirituality in Sikhi really strives off of that. That is the fuel for it. And without that devotion and pyar, or that faith or trust, the doubts can hinder you back in this sort of way. So that's why the way to fall in love first with the Guru is to listen to either the praises of the Guru, learn about the Guru, or experience the Guru. So for example, if you're going to fall in love with a person, right? And if I say fall in love with Bob, and you'll say, who's Bob? Why would I fall in love with Bob? Why would I sacrifice my head for Bob? Why would I, sacrifice my entire life and my family and every breath of mine for Bob? Who's Bob? And tell me about him. So you have to know who Bob is. Is pehla suno ki Guru kaun hai. And sun sakhi man jap pyar. Listen to the sakhi and the history. Or look at those people that are examples of that. Tina dekh man chao thanda hon kad pai gunta. Look at those Mahapurukhs and saints and those Guru Sikhs and be like, well, he or she is experiencing this. I want to experience that as well. Sit in the Sangat and experience it for yourself. Maybe you've met somebody, you don't know who they are and what they do, but that interaction for a few minutes of yours with that person, say, that person astounds me. That person really, I feel a connection. I feel something there. That person was amazing. And you might have only met that person for 2 minutes walking down the street. So that little experience of yours with the Guru is enough to hook you on. So, and that devotion is what's going to strive your understanding, is going to help remove your doubts, is going to help you keep the maryada, the physical attributes and the code of conduct. All of these things will follow if the faith is there. So that is going to happen when you begin to take out the poisons that Guru Sahib says. Removing the slander, the nindya, the jugli, and sometimes pain in our life, redirect it towards our Guru, because that becomes your medicine. So in all of these ways, when you make that your fuel, you go towards the Guru, you learn about the Guru, that is how somebody begins. That is how your path connects. You're gonna automatically take your own experiences and connect it to what the Guru is saying. And when you begin to learn that, and you'll begin connecting and you'll start walking that path. And keep in mind, and I've seen a lot of people that are coming into Sikhi, they see the Sangat as a beautiful thing. Right, and I struggled with that when I was young, about 10 years old as well, where I saw the Sangat as everybody must be like an angel. And we're all on our own path. Some people are doing their own karma. Some people are devotees, and some people are people that are very, very wise. We fall into this category. Some people are struggling with their own actions still. Some people they've sorted out their actions and they are really, really focusing on their devotion and their bhakti. And some people have done the bhakti and they are realized beings, right? So we fall in this category somewhere. And you have to look at someone's wearing the malar dastar. That's okay, right? Some people pull under sabko, pull guru kartar. So that's why, I know a lot of people come into the Sikhi and the Sangat and they see one small fault in somebody. They say, that's why I thought it was all perfect and I'm not going to believe in the Guru anymore. No, of course, but verle ke there are there are rare saints in this world. Go and follow them, strive for them. Of course, that's Guru's Maryada, and we're going to follow that. That goes into a different topic. But these are my few cents of remove the songs, remove the slander, remove the nindya, and refill that. And just like I spoke about earlier, every moment of your life, listen to either kirtan or katha. Have that in your mind or in your ears, playing at all times, driving, when you go to sleep, when you wake up. It should just be kirtan, katha, gurbani, one of these three things.
It's amazing. Okay, Bhai, where can people connect with you? Where can they connect with your work? Where can they find out about Team Khalsa training?
So Team Khalsa training, unfortunately, I don't do at the moment. Just we winded those operations down when I got so busy with parchar. But I overheard some of the things, so some of those Bainan Singhs, they really appreciated it later on in life when they said, yeah, we hated Harman Singh at that time when he yelled at us and all this, but it was beneficial to us. And I think that's what my intention was. With that, I remember even at this one camp, I made them wait. I ran a Singh's camp way back in the day. I remember waking up or making them wake up at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and lining all the things up and be like, all right, do push-ups and this and that. And one of the things accidentally spoke out, oh, come on, man, this isn't the military. And I took it out on him. And everyone was just like, whoa. I went up to him. I was like, who told you this isn't the military? This is the military. You're a Khalsa Panth. This is the Fauj. And you're part of the Fauj. When you took Amrit, you gave your head to be a part of the Fauj. And then he's like, well, never again will I say that. That's kind of, I know if you're watching my videos, you might not be able to view me as that very angry, yelling kind of military warden sort of figure, but I've done that before. So we don't do the team calls, the training at the moment anymore, but there are plans. We actually started a new project. It's been going on for about a year now. It's called Gur Prasad Vidyala. We run it mainly here in the North America side. It's a project of Everything's 13. We haven't fully announced it to the entire Sangat yet, which we will soon. Where we are running fitness things. We are running Gurbani Santya. We are running Vidya classes of different Dharmic Granths to be able to kind of do that. But you have to go through a probation period and prove yourself worthy to be able to enter the Vidyala before you can just join. Wow. Because if we're going to be investing in you have to invest a few months in us to kind of prove those quests to be able to join the Vidyala. And we open up those spots when there are spots available, right? So because we don't want to just open it up and not be able to invest in the students properly. Again, we're building it at the same time. It's been ongoing for about a year. We have our first batch of a few students. We're going to be taking on more in the future. With that, so I'm going to be implementing all of these fitness things into there, and we have a few things that are very well trained, much more than me, like yourself, and they're going to be helping run the fitness aspect and the Gurbani Santya aspect and the Vidya aspect through that as well. And stay tuned in that. The rest of the thing, you guys know that we've launched our new Basics of Sikhi website. basicsofsikhi.com. You can see the categories and the search filters. You can connect with us there. You can connect with us on YouTube, on Instagram. You can connect with me on my personal page, which myself and a few Sevadars help run, which is my personal page on Instagram, which is just Harman Singh. Or you can connect with us on the Basics of Sikhi North America, any of these ways, or email us. Is tarike naal tusi connect kar sakde hain. Maharaj kirpa karan. May I be blessed to be able to serve your feet and have your darshan one day as well.